the first thing you're going to do is measure your image space, okay? You don't have to do an overlap, but usually it's better so that you don't have white peeking in here and there. So most of the time an overlap is going to be like 1/8 of an inch up to 1/4 of an inch over the edge of the image. My image size was 10 inches by 6 5/16. After you've measured your image, you want to add 4 inches to both dimensions. That's going to give you a 2-inch mat all the way around your image. Okay. What I've got is there's some scrap over here on the rack. If you can use the scrap to cut your mat, grab it first. But if you can't, then I've got full sheets of mat board. What you're going to do is you're going to go over and use this mat cutter first. It's wall mounted. It's usually for your large, rough cuts where you're getting the overall width and height of the mat blank. And then you're going to use this mat cutter over here to cut the actual frame-like mat. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm needing that 14 5/16 inches. So, if I'm doing a custom frame, then it can be any size, but most of the time it's 5/16. You want something to back it, behind it. That might be a thinner scrap here. It might be a strip of cardboard, whatever. But the reason you want that is so that when the blade cuts through it, it doesn't tear up the back surface of the mat. It'll make a nice clean cut because it's got something backing it up. You do the same thing with the finish mat, or the other mat cutter. So you bring this up, there's a lever here that retracts the blade. Bring it up above the mat, let it loose. Sometimes you might want to hold it up, but you don't have to. The spring will do it, and this is only cutting off a little sliver of this mat, so lift it back up and lower it to hold the mat in place. I'm just going to cut this off. I'm not too worried about it being dead on accurate. Then I want to cut my width, which is going to be, actually I did that, it's supposed to be 14, so that's, and then it's supposed to be 10 the other direction. But I've got a bevel on both edges and I don't want that, so I'm going to give it a little excess, cut it off square. That's if you're using a scrap. A lot of them are the centers of larger mats. Mat face down on this mat cutter. The reason being is we're going to be cutting with a bevel on it, and we want that bevel to actually show to the front. And it might be a little bit more interesting if it was a black mat, because you'd have this white line around it. You can get black core mat. You can get a lot of different colors in mat cores now. Used to it was just black or white or a cream, and that was about it. So I'm gonna put it in here, colored face down, which the color I want, which is white. Make sure that your mats are white, please. Then you're gonna come over here and make a line that you know is overlapping the 2 inches from the edge. It's just because when you rotate it, you're going to end up with kind of an X marks the spot situation. Okay, you're going to have 2 lines crossing, and that's the corner of your mat. And the reason you need that is because when you're cutting it, you need to know where to start and where to stop. Okay, so you're not overshooting your line too much, and you're not starting shy of where you need to start. And it gives you a nice clean bevel on the inside rather than what looks like a small rat's nest. Now, if you ever plan on doing this as a hobby or as for a part-time job or anything, it's a good idea to invest in a mat cutter. They've got ones. This one right here is probably close to $2,000. But these cross marks on here, okay, and that's my targets. Can you see them in there? Get that glare off the graphite. All right. So I'm gonna set it back down here. Now, this side is a straight cutter. The only reason that these mat cutters have this on here is so it can take place of that other mat cutter if you don't have it. The bevel is usually the one you want to use. You can bring it over here. I'm going to bring it past this line, and I'm going to put a little pressure down on this bar. I don't want to hold the bar too tight. So if I stand over here, then it's a natural pull. All right, so I'm going to pull that blade. And this is where a lot of people make mistakes in matting, right here. When they go to put the picture in the mat, they think they have to tape all the way around it. That's not a good idea, okay? You just put tape across the top of it so that, say, the humidity, even though it feels like it's bone dry around here all the time, there's still humidity in the air. When the humidity increases, it'll cause that paper to expand, okay? Photo paper, anything that's made of fibrous material, it's going to expand. When it drops, it's going to contract, okay? And if you've got that taped all the way around, what it does is when it expands, it just buckles, okay, and gets all these ripples in it. But if you leave it taped just on the top edge, all it's going to do is it's going to expand and push slightly down in the mat, okay? And when it dries, it's going to pull slightly up. And you'll never notice it. It's going to be a subtle shift, but it won't cause it to buckle. And you know, in some cases, like photographs, it can stick to the glass, and then you know the picture's shot. And it's a lot nicer now than traditional photography, where you had it could be pretty expensive to try to replace it. So I'm going to pull a piece of tape that's, you know, roughly the same length. They're a little bit shorter, a little bit longer. It's not going to hurt. And then I put my picture on it. Push it down a little bit. Then I take my mat, line it up where I want it. Press that edge a little bit so it sticks. And I'll flip it. Push it all down. So that it hangs inside there. Okay. This is just on regular bond paper, but you get the idea. For this show, I don't expect you to use foam core or anything. I'm actually out of foam core. If you want to use foam core, you'll have to go to Walmart